Well, everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Moon Knight. And this is a new Marvel series on Disney Plus, starring Oscar Isaac as Stephen Grant, who discovers he's been granted the powers of an Egyptian moon god, but he soon finds out that the newfound powers can be both a blessing and a curse. And basically, we have our main character here who has multiple personalities. He has Mark Spector, this more intense and driven kind of higher gun kind of thing. And then you have Stephen Grant, who's this silly, obviously over Cockneyed accent guy who's just trying to live his best life working at a museum in London. And all of a sudden, his life gets turned upside down when he starts realizing that his life is splintered and he doesn't remember certain things, and winding up being confronted by Khonshu, voiced by F. Murray Abraham, love him, and who haunts him and reveals to him that he has these powers, and he, along with his wife, Layla, played by May Calamawy, have to stop this intense and crazed cult leader, Arthur Harrow, played by Ethan Hawke, who plans on bringing back another god to bring judgment and balance to the world. And that's the general gist of the show. And this is from directors Mohamed Diab and also Benson and Moorhead, who are some really impressive science fiction creators that I was interested to see what they did with this series. And right off the bat, this show is crazy. This swings wild and in a fresh and interesting way. And I appreciate the chances that they're taking here at this point in the MCU, because it's like they've had their formula for so long, you gotta shake things up or you're just gonna become boring and stale. And the first couple episodes I think are a little too ambitious. They're really trying to swing wild with the mystery of like who's Stephen Grant, who's Mark Spector, and what's happening when they're splitting and don't remember what happened for these prolonged periods of time and taking control of the body. And it's definitely a bit messy, but it also delivers some great action sequences. It delivers some really haunting and creepy and unnerving sequences where Khonshu is like following him and stalking him in dark hallways and stuff like that. So this series is able to balance quite an interesting collection of, tone and genre bending, because those kinds of things really stood out in the first couple episodes. There's one particular chase where the CGI looks not great, but as the series go on, you could tell they really saved a lot of their CGI for like these gods and like giant god fights. And that's the thing, like towards the end of the season, there's a lot of great stuff I'll talk about in a minute, but there's also some really terrible tropes of like, let's have giant fighting battle, or let's kill somebody and they're not really dead. And it's just like, come on, what's with these fake out deaths in MCU projects and just continually trying to do those things over and over and over again? It's tiring. But the highlight of this show is definitely Oscar Isaac, because he shows incredible range and incredible talent in this role. He just absolutely kills it from start to finish, no matter who he's portraying. He just embodies these characters with so much panache and just personality. I saw some people really disliking Khonshu's voice. I'm like, F. Murray Abraham is a treasure, so you're wrong. I'm kidding, but like, I'm not kidding about F. Murray Abraham. He's fantastic, and I love the gravitas that he brings to this particular character. Calamawy as Layla, I think she's great. She has a lot of charisma, and she really brings it, and I think she has great chemistry. There's the 4th, 5th, and 6th episodes really take this to the next level, because there's great action throughout the series, but like the 4th episode really feels like an Indiana Jones, Uncharted kind of thing, and the dynamic between Isaac and Calamawy is so fantastic. I do have to say, in the 4th episode, there's a lot of moments that are like really, really dark and like could legitimately not see anything, which is a problem because I would like to see the show. But the ending of the 4th episode and into the 5th episode take the show to a whole other different place and level, and I absolutely love how bold it gets and imaginative it gets and mind twisty that it gets, and it really packs some emotional impact, emotional damage. Basically is Oscar Isaac's character in the show, because as they pull back the layers in the 5th episode of like where he's really coming from, how he got to this place with these multiple personalities, it's devastating. And this show captures that so well. And then you have Arthur Harrow, who I think, like, Ethan Hawke is really intense, does a great job with that intensity, and he has some other moments that feel a little bit unrelated in some of the later episodes, but like he portrays this character with a lot of charisma and intensity, and the whole idea of trying to bring the world to balance, and like, yeah, Thanos wanted balance too, everybody wants some balance, but I think there's a couple of little things about his character that I find particularly interesting, and especially towards the last episode of like, he does perceive himself as a martyr. Like, he will do anything to make sure that he brings Ammit back. And it's a very interesting confrontation in the final episode in terms of like, you have Moon Knight and you have Arthur Harrow, and then you have Khonshu and Ammit, and how those fights play out. It's really well shot action, really interesting and bold action, and I enjoy this series a lot for that. And in the end, I think Moon Knight is bold and ambitious, maybe a little too much, that it gets a little ahead of itself, but I do think that this is an interesting and engaging series from Marvel. Oscar Isaac absolutely kills it and gives one of the best performances in any of these Marvel movies or shows, and I really can't wait for a second season because they set it up great in the post-credit scene, so stick around to the very end of the last episode. But in the end, this is another win for Marvel, and it's something different, stands alone, and doesn't get bogged down with the greater MCU, and I think you could have a lot of fun with it. A lot of genre thrills. But those are my thoughts on the first season of Moon Knight. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.